afternoon. Happy Friday, everybody. This is the Suit Up Geek Fix podcast. My name's Lo. He's Dibes. He's AJ. As usual, we are here to review The Bad Batch, the Star Wars show on Disney Plus. We are on episode 8. This one was called Reunion. And let's just dig right into it, guys. Appropriately entitled Reunion. We finally see Crosshair after about a 6 to almost 7 episode gap of not seeing where he was at. So that was a welcome return. Although he's on the other side of the battle, Crosshair was my favorite clone from The Bad Batch. We have a lot of interesting things to break down about this episode, and I'll save it for later and for you guys. But I will say the moment that everyone's talking about in this episode, I jumped out of my chair. I was like, yes, that is awesome. And we'll get into that in just a second. Dibes, what were your first impressions of this episode?
Definitely my second favorite episode to date. Crosshair was deliciously evil as a villain, and I love it. That scene where he was like, aim for the kid. Like, that was like so cold, man. So cold. I love seeing the reveal this week. We're going to deep dive into it, guys. If you're watching, spoiler. We're going to be deep diving and predicting what is going down here in the Bad Batch and the rest of the season. It was another cameo, another week, another cameo. If this episode didn't prove anything, is going to prove something. It's that this is truly an extension of the Clone Wars. This is truly season 8 of the Clone Wars. How many reveals have we gotten in this series? It's Caleb to Tarkin to Saul to Cut to Fennec to Braca, Cad. I just ruined it. Cad Bane, like the Rex. The list goes on and on and on. And I think that is like the source of where I'm going with my predictions moving forward. But as far as I'm concerned, this was an epic episode of The Bad Batch, and I'm just like you said, Loretto. We watched it at like 5 a.m. in the morning before I left for work this morning, and I just jumped out of my chair. And my wife is looking at me like, "What are you doing?" Like, she doesn't know who Cad Bane is, and I was just like, "It's Cad!" So it was great.
You know what's funny? This show might as well be called like The Bad Batch and the cameos at this point. But
yeah, right.
The last two have been fantastic, and I gotta say, I want to shout out you and AJ. You guys are like Devin Booker and Chris Paul with the jumper on calling out the predictions. You guys called your shot, and you guys hit both of them. I think Dibes, you called out Cad Bane, right? And then AJ last week, he predicted that we would stay on that scrapper planet of Braga, and the Empire would show up. And then, like, it's funny when they landed, I was like, oh, AJ called it. So, AJ, man, what were your first impressions of this week's episode, man?
I'm at a loss for words right now. To be honest with you guys, I cannot remember what happened in this episode because of the surprise guest that we've got within this episode. Cad Bane is top 5 Star Wars characters for me, and I had the opposite reaction of what Dibes did. He was screaming out loud. No, mine was internal. I was at a loss for words. But enough of that. I can't get over it. Anyway, I love how they're sticking with the main story now. I love how serious it is between the the Bad Batch and Crosshair. I love how tense those moments were. It felt longer than the moments with Wrecker last episode, which was great. I love how it was happening throughout the entire episode. I wish it was like a 2-parter, much like the Wrecker one, but it was one episode, but it was one of the perfect episodes for the Bad Batch for me. It was incredible. I'm in love with this episode.
So I'm gonna take us right into memorable moments, man. You guys all nailed it. Cad Bane he's one of the most beloved, like good, quote unquote, good characters in the series. Everybody loves Cad Bane, even though most of the time he's he's trying to kill our heroes here. But he's such a great character with the hat, with the toothpick, and just his swagger, his demeanor. And also, I'm a big fan of Westerns, guys. So that's something that George Lucas and Dave Filoni both love. I mean, Dave Filoni's got the damn cowboy hat on every time he walks around. I grew up on like Good, Bad, and the Ugly, Young Guns, I'm a big fan of the Wild Bunch, and just Westerns really speak to me. So when they had that quick draw moment, and of course, Cad Bane got the upper hand on Hunter, that was a pleasant surprise for me. One other one I want to call out, I'm sure you'll be loving it too, Dives, is I really like the big brother relationship with Wrecker and Omega. Awesome. Him kind of like showing her how to disarm the bomb, but then like, you got 10 seconds, we're dust, we're toast, and it's like, it was actually just a smoke bomb. I thought that was pretty awesome, kind of like showing their bond, but also like showing he's not that dumb. Like, he's not going to let a kid play with a live bomb. So that was a relief. What about you, AJ, man? Any memorable moments for you?
Yeah. Actually, I want to point out one shot that stuck out to me. It was when Crosshair enters the battlefield, and you just see all these stormtroopers. It was like a good medium shot of every single person, and then you have Crosshair in the middle. I really love that shot. But the best memorable moment was near the end, the standoff between Cad Bane and Hunter. That moment was orgasmic. I really love that moment. I really love that moment. But yeah, that's my memorable moment.
Awesome. What about you, Dives?
When they did the standoff, you knew that Hunter was not getting out of that. There's no way Hunter was surviving that. And I was like, when I first saw that, it was like, it might as well have been like the Terminator. Like, it's like, shit! Like, Hunter's in bad shape right now. Which is funny because in season 7 of the Clone Wars, that's actually how Cad Bane actually died by the hands of Boba Fett. There was a deleted scene that they never showed in season 7 of the Clone Wars. And that's where, when we get the predictions, I'm going to dive into that a little bit further. But since you touched on Cad Bane, I'm going to go Crosshair. I think that little moment when Crosshair got burnt to a crisp, first of all, he said, aim for the kid. And sure enough, Star Wars burns him to death. And, that was so brutal for a cartoon show to see how he was like completely bandaged up at the very end of this episode. Star Wars seems to have like, this passion with burning evil people. You had Anakin, Uncle Owen. There's a lot of like characters in Star Wars that have been burnt to a crisp. So we'll see. We'll see if like possibly what if Crosshair becomes the first Death Trooper. That he's gonna now need like augmented and different things like that moving forward. So I don't know. Maybe you need some cybernetics moving forward. And this is our first taste of a Death Trooper in Star Wars. So I don't know.
One more thing I want to touch on, guys, is I really like the set pieces, especially in this like abandoned cruiser, them hiding in the engine, and then the Empire turning the engine on. It made for some really good suspenseful moments. And also one more thing I want to call out is when Hunter wakes up after being shot, that first person shot he had, and they were like, Hunter, are you okay? And then he like walks back in the ship, but we're looking through his helmet. That was
awesome.
Wow, that was chef's kiss. That was awesome. Really good cinematic moments here. And I think this episode made a point to tell the audience, like, you guys are in for it now. Because now it's like, it's getting dark. We're getting towards the finale. Now there's like, 7 episodes left. And I think this was like the middle of the season. It's episode 8 out of 16. The creators, Dave Filoni and his crew, are obviously telling us, like, buckle up.
Yeah.
Because things are starting to get real. And with that being said, Dives, like, what do you think about going forward from here? Where is this leading to? And I think you have a couple predictions for us, yeah?
So I do think that Cad Bane was put in this for a reason. There's a reason why I said, predicted this back in episode 2 and 3. The more I saw this is not about the Bad Batch. This is Dave Filoni setting things up moving forward. There's so much in the air about what's canon and what's not canon. There's so much unknown about what Cad Bane has been up to at this time period. So my question is, where does this leave us now and into Book of Boba Fett? We know that Boba and Cad Bane are going to have some sort of conflict. As I said in previous reviews, I've been definitely leaning towards, my gut feeling is that Boba Fett is going to make an appearance in the Bad Batch. I think it's pretty clear that, Fennec is getting her orders from Boba Fett. I think that's pretty much a lock. I don't think Fennec is coming from Kamino. I think Kamino is going with Cad Bane. I think there's a lot going on there, and I think Boba Fett is going to make his triumphant return here, and it's going to be absolutely glorious. Because I think that there's going to be a connection to the Book of Boba Fett, and we're going to have this old grizzly bearded Cad Bane and have that whole dynamic in a live action Book of Boba Fett. This is just one of many seeds that are being planted so they can cross. And just like we said in previous reviews, like, I don't think Omega is going to be a one and done here. I think we're only going to see more and more of Omega. Why can't that be for Cad Bane? Why can't that be for some of these other characters? So that's one of my predictions. So I know AJ has some thoughts on that.
Yeah, the one thing I'm concerned about that theory is that if we are still counting the Cad Bane versus Boba canon that wasn't shown in season 7, but was shown in, I think it was E3, not E3. I forgot. It was during one of the presentations. But if we're still counting as canon, then technically Cad Bane dies within the series or a little bit after the series. It's still around Order 66. So if he's coming back into Boba,
there's a reason why Boba needs to cement himself as the greatest bounty hunter. There's a reason why Cad Bane exists, and that is for Boba to take him down.
Yeah, but he's already dead at this point if it's canon.
No, I disagree. I think this is 100% canon with everything going on now, moving forward. 100%.
So you don't believe that he's going to die within the Order 66 timeline? You think he's going to stay forward to Empire onwards? Or not even Empire. A New Hope forward. Because it still counts as
death. That's two different things. So, like, I'm hoping he would be, kind of that, like, amazing anti-hero villain type with Book of Boba Fett. But I'm strictly speaking of this series, I do 100% think Boba is going to now be brought in, and there's going to be some sort of standoff between
in
the Bad Batch. I know they're probably setting up Hunter to kind of have some sort of redemption with how he got kind of owned by Cad Bane there. But that's where I'm at. So there's two different things. I hope he's in Book of Boba Fett. That's like a hope. But I do think 100% sure that we're going to get Boba in the Bad Batch.
See, I believe we're going to get Boba in Bad Batch, but not to face off against Cad. I think because the way I've interpreted this episode is that the Kimonans are hiring these bounty hunters because they already talked about that a little bit within their scene that they have people looking for Omega. It wasn't. I wouldn't say it was like point on point what they said, but that's how I interpret it as. They hired Fennec, she failed. They hired Cad Bane, he got her, he's going straight there. I think either after this episode or the next 2 episodes, we're not going to see Cad Bane anymore. Because I feel like they're doing a Clone Wars route where they're just trying to bring in cameos, awesome cameos that work for the story. But I don't think they're going to get as much as like 2 or 3 episodes in.
So I just got a brain blast, guys. So my issue is I have no issue with seeing Boba Fett. I just don't want them to retract canon from The Mandalorian because according to The Mandalorian, when Fennec gets injured Boba finds her there, and Boba's way older, so I don't think they have a relationship. And I've been trying to percolate, like, okay, how is this going to work? But now I'm thinking, let's just take what you said, Dives, and kind of just tweak it a little bit, like, get a couple like socket wrenches in there. What if Cad has Omega, right? But what if Boba swoops in on behalf of the Empire and takes Omega for the Empire?
But the Empire doesn't care for Omega. There's already been
That's
stated.
true. That is also true.
Stated that they don't really. They just want the clones entirely destroyed. They're just focusing on stormtroopers, and that's.
I was trying to lead into how Darth Vader hires Boba to get Han Solo. I'm just thinking like maybe there's a relationship with him and the Empire developing, but that's actually a fair point. Why would the Empire need Omega? So there goes my predictions. Shoot and a miss.
I think that there's so much up in the air, like the Book of Boba Fett. What was Boba up to after he got eaten in the Sarlacc pit? Like, we don't know.
But that's a lot after.
Yeah.
But my point is, like, there's things like being rewritten. Like, there's things that are being added into this as wrinkles into these stories. That's all I'm saying.
Now,
my issue with that
I
is
will agree.
I think it's going to be convoluted for the audience, even fans. So I hope they don't do too much of that. That's my hope.
See, now I will agree. If they rewrite, or if it was never canon that Cad Bane actually versed Boba yet, then for sure, give me Cad Bane versus Boba in Book of Boba Fett. If he's not dead within this time period, I'll be happy. I don't think there's anything confusing because not a lot of people actually saw that clip during Star Wars Celebration. So,
I mean, maybe it's as simple as it's Sid that is now got Fennec working for Sid. Maybe it's not Boba. Maybe it's Sid with Fennec. So who knows?
All right, so Boba Fett, and all that aside, guys. Also, in terms of the grand story here, are we still on the side that the Bad Batch doesn't make it out of this show?
Yes, I do believe they're all gonna die.
The tone of these last two episodes are pitch perfect, and that has not changed. It's actually getting worse, I think. I think there's actually more tragedy coming, just from this vibe alone. I think there's things that they're setting you up to be super emotional with Wrecker and Omega, different things like that. I do think we're still on that pace.
Excellent. I think there's a lot to look forward to here, especially for fans that aren't even familiar with all the things we know and love in terms of Clone Wars and stuff. Final grades, guys. Dives, go ahead, man. What's your grade for this episode, and any other final thoughts on it?
I gave it a 9.2. This is my second favorite. I gave last week a 9.5, episode 7. This is a 9.2. My goodness, just amazing television. I have no complaints. The score of this series, the relationships they're building, the reveals, I get it, are getting a little crazy. It's basically one cameo per episode. I hope they sort of go away from that a little bit, to be honest. But when you have something like Cad Bane, that was really, really fun. So it's like a double-edged sword, I guess. But really, nuts and bolts, this was like, these last two episodes have finally pushed the story forward. The first 6 episodes are like the appetizer. Now we're starting to get into what the hell is going on with the Bad Batch season here. So I give it a 9.2.
Awesome. What about you, AJ? What would you give this final episode a grade, and any final thoughts?
Yeah, 10 out of 10. Just because Cad Bane, just because of that surprise reveal. My mind was completely blown after that reveal. But talking about everything else, I think this was like the previous episode 7, but dialed up to 11. I do believe that this is one of the darkest story points within Clone Wars, within Rebels, within everything, because for me it's a depressing story where you have to go against your friends. You have the entire Bad Batch versus one of the, I would even say, family, Crosshair, just to see all that, it's strong storytelling for me. So it's a perfect grade for me.
Can we appreciate that Star Wars had an animated show with one of the main characters saying, "Kill the kid, kill the kid."
That's crazy. That's crazy.
You know, I'm not trying to call you out, AJ, but it seems like you haven't given any episode of any series lower than a 10 for like months now. Like Falcon Winter Soldier,
I've been loving
Mandalorian, whatever. It's been like 10s for like months.
Like 1000 out of 10. I'm loving everything. Loving it.
But yeah, hey, I respect your passion for everything, and I think more fans need to have your positivity because the whole point of anything is, especially fandom, is we enjoy it, and I think you enjoy this more than anybody I know, and I love it. Not enough fans do that. A lot of fans want to pick things apart and just crap on stuff, and where's the fun in that?
Hey, you guys can pick apart all you can. I'll just rebuttal everything because I got answers. Got them.
But you know, with that being said, I do still prefer Aftermath, which was the first episode, and I also prefer the 7th episode with Rex over this one, but I like where we're going. We did pick up the pace in terms of storytelling. We finally got back to the main arc. So I'll go ahead and give it a 9. It's a pretty strong score so far for these past episodes, and I think we're in for a ride. So what's up, dude?
Can I give my cameo prediction for, I don't know if it's next week or the week after that, but I have 2 cameos I want to see. Uncle Hondo, I would love to see Hondo, get another appearance here in the Bad Batch. And Hera, I would love to see like a young Hera in this. That would be amazing. See, maybe down the road.
You know, I might shed a tear if Hera comes on screen.
I know, right?
He was my favorite.
Waterworks.
Harrison Dula was my favorite character from Rebels, and I love Sabine and Kanan, but Hera was my girl. I love pilots, and I also loved like her can do. I will get us through this attitude, especially for their family dynamic. So that'd be awesome. I also would love to see Hondo. I actually expected that. I would be surprised if he doesn't make even a small cameo. So I think that about wraps it up for us, guys. So thank you everybody for watching. If you like this review and the others, keep your eyes peeled. We're going to do this every Friday until the finale. Like and subscribe down below. Follow us on Twitter at the Suit Up Geeks. You can follow AJ at AJ_Geek Vibes. You can follow Dives at Mr. Crockpot and myself at Marcellus Durden. For Dives, for AJ, myself. Catch you guys next time. Take care.